Good morning. Look at my nails. I just got them done on Friday and I wanted to show them off. They're so cute. I like to get Halloween nails every year if I have the money at the time, kind of thing. So, getting into this week, I am memory planning. Wow, I didn't even put the date in my planner. I just realized. Um, Hold on a second. October 13th to the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, October 13th to the 19th. And I'm using this kit from the Prairie planner called Hanging with My Boo. I have to say this is probably one of my favorite kits and my favorite spreads of the year so far. The colors are just so freaking beautiful. And when the colors are very bright and vibrant like this, it's very easy to pull stickers from different shops, like the different, what do you call the character stickers and stuff. So I appreciate that. It just looks, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but this kit is just so beautiful. And I could go on and on about it. I even kept the bottom washi just as it was because normally I like to pull in washi from my collection to try and use it up, but this week I didn't really want to. I just wanted to use the bottom washi, and I'm so glad I did because it looks really good down there. And other than that, I think I used up everything else. I didn't have very much left over. Then every time I have leftover stickers from kids, I end up using them in my plan Plan as like what do you call it? A plan as I go planner? Like the one where you use like my functional planner? I don't know. But I use up the leftover kits in there, and I always seem to have enough, but I just have to find different full boxes to use because I use up all the full boxes in my memory plan. So it works out fine though. And I don't even know where I was going with this. I had a thought with it. Now I don't know what it was. It's so early in the morning, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm very forgetful as well. Hence why I have multiple planners because I'm super forgetful. Anyways, I'm just going to get into the day by day, but I am going to be putting down the date covers. I just want to talk about the date covers really quick. They are just stunning to me. I love the little webs and I like the color. I don't know. What would you call that? Like a teal? It looks like a very dark teal because I was thinking it was blue, but I think it's more of a teal color. I really, really love that color. I'm over here saying that it's teal, but on camera it looks very blue. But just know that it's more of a teal color. So getting into the day by day, on Monday, the first thing I'm marking is that I slept in. I actually didn't have work this day. Oh, right, this was like Thanksgiving following into the Monday. That's right. So I slept in, which is very rare. Not just because I barely have any days off, but because I barely can sleep in. I just have really bad insomnia and I'm always up early. It's a whole thing. And to mark sleeping in, I'm using the bed that came with the kit. And then I just planned that morning. So I'm using the planner that came with the kit. And then I did a crime binge. So I'm really I'm really into watching Mr. Ballin right now. And I think I was catching up on some of his older videos. And I'm just using the TV that came with the kit. And then this day, since I had a day off, I decided to put away my summer clothes and pull out my winter clothes. And that is a full task in itself. It's very like daunting. So I'm using this little mummy sticker that came from the Coffee Monsters Co. And then after that, I played some of my Superstore games. So I'm using this headset from the Bare Necessities. And then that evening, I just had a TikTok binge and I'm using this, I think it's a dog with a TikTok icon from Mr. and Mrs. Mint. Moving on to Tuesday, the first thing I'm marking is that I read, and I'm using these washi pieces that came with the kit that I always forget about. They're on the same page as a full box and they're on the upper right corner, but they kind of blend in with the print that's up there, so I always forget about them. But anyways, I'm marking that I read, and I'm using this book that came with the kit to mark that, and then after that, I'm using a flag from the kit and a laptop from the kit to mark work. And then I had to run some errands this day, so I'm using a card that came with the kit. And this day, my husband's jersey came in. I ordered him a jersey for his birthday. His birthday was in September, and Canada Post was going through this whole strike thing. So we didn't get our mail for quite a while, and it was it was kind of frustrating because we had ordered his jersey and we were tracking it and everything, and it ended up in our city. So we're like, oh, cool, it's going to be here by tomorrow, And wouldn't you know it, they went on strike like the next day. So his jersey had literally been in the same city as us for an entire 2 weeks before he finally got it, which I mean, I thought was funny, but he didn't think it's funny. But I really support the postal workers. I really support the unions that don't get a lot of support from the outside. I find it very frustrating that people blame the postal workers themselves all the time when that's not always the case. Sometimes they don't want to strike, they don't choose to strike, but yeah, it was like the same thing when the teachers went on strike. We had to like stand outside in the freezing cold. And if it were up to me, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just stayed at work, but people were bashing us on the internet, calling us lazy, calling us, like all these things. And it was like, but it's not even sometimes we don't choose it. We have to do, it's a whole political thing. I'm not going to get into it. Sorry, I'm ranting about it. I am still on Tuesdays, so I marked that I played the Superstore game again, and I'm using this icon from the sticker party. It's a controller sticker. I think it's a PlayStation. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't have a PlayStation, but it works. And then I had a YouTube binge, and I'm using this Mr. and Mrs. Mint play button. Then moving on to Wednesday, the first thing I'm marking is I had a nightmare that night, so I'm using this. Where is that one from? Once More with Love. And then I'm marking work with a desktop icon from the kit. And then we went to get groceries, so I'm using a grocery cart sticker that came with the kit. And that evening I watched The Simpsons, so I'm using the TV that came with the kit. And then I had Ito this evening, so I'm using this Once More with Love munchkin holding on to this Ito bowl. Well, I don't know if it's Ito bowl, but a noodle bowl. And then I played more Superstore, so I'm using another icon from the sticker party to mark that. And then I had a YouTube binge that evening, so that little play button is from Alley Cat Shop. Moving on to Thursday, the first thing I'm marking is that I read, and I'm using this emoji sticker from the Coffee Monsters Co. And then to mark work, I'm using a pencil that came with the kit. And then to mark it was snack day at work. I think I needed more things to mark because I didn't have a lot going on this day. So I'm marking that we had snacks at work. That candy sticker is from an old Once More with Love Halloween sheet. And then I played Superstore game that evening. So I'm using this. This one is from the Coffee Monsters Co. with a controller sticker. And it was the last one on the sheet. It was so satisfying for me to like use up sticker sheets. It's just one of the best feelings, but also one of the saddest feelings because it's like I ran out. um, anyway, this evening I watched Woman in Cabin 10, which is an old Ruth Ware book that I read many years ago. I didn't even remember what it was about, to be honest, but when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, kind of remember. I don't know how I feel about the movie, to be honest. I don't remember it being, I don't know. When I read the book, it was quite exciting, but when you watch the movie, it was like, I know they always say the book is better, but I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about it. And then that evening, I went to bed early, so I'm using this Coffee Monsters Co. I have a little cheat sheet. That's why I keep pausing because I don't know where it's from, but the Coffee Monsters Co. Modi to mark that. Need some coffee. And then moving on to Friday, I'm using the balloons that came with the kit to mark, thank God it's Friday. I've started doing that because Fridays are just such a relief day now. And it sounds horrible, but I love my Fridays. And then I'm marking that I read. So I'm using a book sticker that came from the Prairie Planner, one of the icons that I ordered, the icon sheets that I ordered. And then to mark work, I am using the alarm clock that came with the kit. I didn't need the alarm clock lately because I haven't been just getting up early before my alarm, so which is kind of nice. And then I marked that I got Tim Hortons, so I'm using the coffee cup that came with the kit. And then I just played games that evening, so I'm using this Paper Shire Girl to mark that. Excuse me. And then moving on to Saturday, the first thing I'm marking is that I read. I'm using this book stack sticker that came from the Alley Cat shop. And then I played Apex, and I'm using this tiny little controller from 3 years apart. And then I went to order food from one of our favorite restaurants in the city. So I'm just using the fork and spoon that came with the kit. And then I'm marking that I watched Simpsons. I was just on a Simpsons kick this week. I don't know why. But I'm using a TV icon that came with the kit. And this afternoon I napped. So I'm using this little bed icon that came from the Prairie Planner, one of the mystery kits, I believe. Napping is so rare for me. I'm not a person that can nap, so when it happens, it just kind of amazes me. And then to mark that I did some planning this day, I'm using this huge emoji sticker from the Coffee Monsters Co. And me and my husband just cuddled that evening, so I'm using these cats from what's that shop called again? Fox and Cactus. And then finally onto Sunday, the first thing I'm marking is that I slept in, and I'm using this little character sticker from Every Minute a Story. Then I had a crime binge, not bringe, and I'm using this little doll from Once More with Love. I don't know why I decided to use that, but I think I just wanted to use some kind of creepy icons and characters for this week. And then after that, we tidied up our apartment a little bit. So I'm using this cleaning spray bottle from the kit. And then I watch more Simpsons. So I'm using another one of those TV icons. And then just marking that, I mean, this is very self explanatory. I was going to leave room for myself to write it, but the sticker is so huge from Fox and Cactus, but you can get what it means. We went to McDonald's. And yeah, that was the week. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing week and take care.